So listen, you guys know I'm a fighter. You guys know that I will, if I strongly believe in something, I will go at it with every single fiber of my being. But how I started this journey was in an honest quest for understanding what people on the other side of the aisle saw that I didn't see. That was how all of this started for me. And I tried to reserve judgment as much as I could, knowing that I was exploring voices I thought I would disagree with. I tried to reserve judgment to say these are good people or bad people, because when we judge something as bad or wrong, it becomes very easy to have a to basically have a survival mechanism reaction to that sort of thing, where our sympathetic nervous system flares up and we go at it very aggressively because we've sent our body into fight or flight. It's very easy to do that. But I just wanted to post this video, and I'm recording it on the day of the debate, and on Tuesday evening. I'm recording it before the debate, and maybe it'll get posted tonight, maybe it'll get posted in the morning, probably tonight. But I just want to remind people that this doesn't need to be this way. It doesn't. Now, listen, I feel pretty comfortable that if someone comes at you, or if someone comes at someone else they're attacking an underdog character, if they are behaving badly, like the HR professionals that I have been documenting on this channel lately, who are behaving very badly and trying to get people fired from their jobs, I see absolutely no reason to hold back going after them, because you need to defend yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I also think that what has gotten lost in this entire scenario, and it's probably just going to get worse over the next several months, is that we don't have to be aggressive or attack the people that we disagree with. We can have cordial relationships of it. And a great example of a cordial relationship with someone that you disagree with is the relationship between Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or what they had when they were both alive on this planet. And I found these articles, I think it was, oh gosh, I don't even know what week, last week that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. I found these articles, and I found them to be just a refreshing take. And we see this stuff happen with the Supreme Court all the time, because they're supposed to be non-political figures. We've seen in the Supreme Court justices on different sides of the aisle having very cordial relationships with each other. And I think that that's good, because it reminds us that all this is possible. And so I want to just share a couple articles that I found, or a couple things I found really interesting about the relationship that Ruth Bader Ginsburg had with Antonin Scalia. This is from NPR back on February 15th, 2016. Ginsburg and Scalia, best buddies. Like many pals, Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg could have had a pretty good argument now and then, but not let it affect their close friendship. During their time together on the United States Supreme Court, Justice Scalia, a staunch conservative, and Justice Ginsburg, a staunch liberal, rarely found themselves on the same side of controversial issues. But in an era when political divisions drive many in Washington apart on a personal level, their disagreements remained intellectual. "We were best buddies," Ginsburg wrote after Scalia died on Saturday. Again, this article was written back in 2016. The two first served together in the early 1980s on the Federal Circuit Court in Washington, D.C., from which each was chosen to be nominated for the Supreme Court. They served together on the High Court for more than 22 years. They liked to fight things out in good spirit, in fair spirit, not the way we see debates these days on television, NPR's Nina Totenberg recalled on the NPR Politics podcast. And I think that that is a really fair point. Listen, what I see going on between the two sides, and you all know, I sit right in the middle. I'm an independent. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I am not a conservative. I do fancy myself a liberal, but the Democrats are not liberal these days, so I can't be on that side. I think that both sides are two sides of the same coin. I do. Now, I always get in trouble with people on the right when I say that, because they're like, "Carlin, the left is the aggressors." Well, yeah, a lot of times they are, but a lot of times you're not acting in good faith either. And I frankly, again, I'll hit back at people if they hit at me, or I'll hit back at people if I see them going after people who are not as powerful as them to try to destroy their lives or careers. I will hit back every day of the week and say, no, stop it. And sometimes that's the only language that people understand, and sometimes it's the only way you can get it to stop. But fundamentally, I also really do try to engage in good faith conversations when I think that the other person is acting in good faith, or I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I've done that on this channel. I've had people I disagree with who are brave enough to come on this channel that are on completely different sides of the issues than me and have had discussions. I'm going to have one probably next week with a guy that he I think fancies himself as an SJW. You're going to get to know him. I met him. Well, he and I have had a couple interactions on Twitter, but I met him in person at the Better Discourse conference, and we don't agree on much of anything, but he's a good dude, and we're going to try to have a civil conversation. I think you can engage in these conversations in good faith. It doesn't always have to be a debate. It doesn't always have to be a fight. Present your position, let the other side present theirs, but, at the end of the day, we need to all start behaving like we are all Americans, and that we all actually are on the same team. Let's keep going. And Ginsburg admitted once that Scalia made her better. One night last year, when the two justices appeared on stage for an interview together in Washington, D.C., Ginsburg talked about a time when Scalia showed her his dissenting opinion in a case before she had finished the majority opinion. I took this dissent, this very spicy dissent, and it absolutely ruined my weekend, Ginsburg said. She made some tweaks to her own argument. Their friendship was revealed that night, according to Totenberg, who moderated. There were a lot of laughs. They really did a lot of jokes at each other's expense and also to compliment each other. As reported at the time, Ginsburg explained why she had fallen asleep during the State of the Union address just a few weeks before. She had vowed not to have wine with dinner that night, just sparkling water to stay away from the wine. But in the end, the dinner was so delicious, it needed wine to accompany it. Scalia quipped, "This is the first intelligent thing you've done." Among other things, the two bonded over their love of opera. In 2013, a law school graduate from Maryland set their arguments to music. Ginsburg noted the performance in a statement she released to honor Scalia after his passing. Towards the end of the opera, Scalia-Ginsburg, tenor Scalia and soprano Ginsburg sang a duet. "We are different, we are one. Different in our interpretation of written texts, one in our reverence for the Constitution and the institution we serve. From our years together at the D.C. Circuit, we were best buddies. We disagreed now and then, but when I wrote for the court and received a Scalia dissent, the opinion ultimately released was notably better than my initial circulation. Justice Scalia nailed all the weak spots, the applesauce and the argle-bargle, and gave me just what I needed to strengthen the majority opinion. He was a jurist of captivating brilliance and wit, with a rare talent to make even the most sober judge laugh. The press referred to his energetic fervor, astringent intellect, peppy prose, acumen, and affability, all apt descriptions. He was eminently quotable, his pungent opinions so clearly stated that his words never slipped from the reader's grasp. Justice Scalia once described as the peak of their days on the bench when evening at the opera ball when he joined two Washington National Opera tenors at the piano for a medley of songs. He called it the famous three tenors performance. He was indeed a magnificent performer. It was my great good fortune to have known him as working colleague and treasured friend. And here's why, listen, I fundamentally do not believe that Ruth Bader Ginsburg's last wish was to have her replacement installed by the next president. I fundamentally don't believe it, because that's not the type of person that she articulates when she has relationships like this. I think that, what is getting lost in this whole affair of filling the Supreme Court nominee is that there is a process. There is absolutely a process. Now, both parties have tried to ignore what that process is in the past for their own reasons. And I think that both sides are behaving like hypocrites in this scenario. I've called it out. I've gotten in trouble with the right. I don't really care. You haven't changed my position. You haven't given me a convincing argument that I'm wrong on this. I think both sides are behaving badly. But the reality is that there is a process. There's a process to follow. The president picks a Supreme Court nominee, which he has done, and the Senate gets to vote to confirm it. Now, I think the Senate should absolutely do their job and vote, and they vote yes or no, and that's the way the process works. Elections have consequences. When you have a Republican in the White House and a Republican in the Senate, you're going to get a Republican, conservative, Supreme Court nominee, and that's just the way it is. Live to fight another day. But there is no reason to pull apart the fundamental fabric of our culture simply because you disagree with someone. And you never know. You never know how people are going to show up on the Supreme Court. There have been so many people that have been appointed by more conservative presidents that have turned out to be rather on the left. Like, it's just the way it works out. And I think that essentially, I think what we need to do is get back to respecting the process first. Put the politics second. Put the infighting second. But the minute that the infighting takes over what is a very simple, clear process as laid out in our Constitution is the minute that you dishonor people like Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who dedicated their lives to serving the Constitution. Now, I just want to leave you with one other story. This is a story that from Christopher Scalia, who's Antonin Scalia's son. He says, this is a story that Judge Jeffrey Sutton shares about an encounter late in my dad's life when he bought his friend Ruth 24 roses for her birthday. It says, during one of my last visits with Justice Scalia, I saw striking evidence of the Scalia-Ginsburg relationship. As I got up to leave his chambers, he pointed to 24 roses on his table and noted that he needed to take them down to Ruth for her birthday. Wow, I said. I doubt I had given a total of 24 roses to my wife in almost 30 years of marriage. You ought to try it sometime, he retorted. Unwilling to give him the last word, I pushed back. So, what good have all these roses done for you? Name one 5-4 case of any significance where you got Justice Ginsburg's vote. Some things, he answered, are more important than votes. I let him have the last word. I think that's a pretty good place to end it. That's all I have for right now. I'll see you soon.